There is no individual alive that has done more to divide America than Rupert Murdoch.
That was former Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull back in April, pulling no punches about 92-year-old Rupert Murdoch. The most destructive person, not just to America, but in much of the world for decades, thanks to his massive global media empire, which spews fascism, misogyny, and outright lies directly into the veins of right-wing audiences in Australia, in Europe, and right here in the United States. His American crown jewel has been Fox, with its power to mold the brains of millions of people, and with them, the American political landscape, with a steady diet of propaganda. Last week, Murdoch announced that he'd be stepping down from the boards of Fox and News Corp, leaving his son Lachlan the sole executive in charge of his empire. But as Murdoch departs, his legacy of destruction is especially clear at Fox, where there is no form of hate that they have failed to monetize over the last 3 decades. Relentless Islamophobia after September 11, a platform for the racist Barack Obama birther conspiracy, COVID denial, and, of course, the big lie, which undermined our democracy. Donald Trump's lies about the 2020 election resulted in Fox paying Dominion Voting Systems $787 million. Well, a new book gives us insights into the months leading up to that massive settlement, including how it led to the firing of Tucker Carlson. The book digs into Rupert Murdoch's empire and his enabling of the monster that he cannot control, Donald Trump. And joining me now is Michael Wolff, author of The Fall, The End of Fox News and the Murdoch Dynasty. What a delicious, intriguing title, because no one ever believes this is ever going to end. Explain the title, just to start off with. Do you really think that this is an empire that can come to an end?
In the short term. And in fact, I mean, last week when Rupert Murdoch stepped down, that was... it's not even the first shoe. It is just along the way of what's happening here. And I mean, for actually many reasons, but let's go to the most glaring one. This is a company that rests on the shoulders of one man and one man alone. He is the decision maker, all of the decisions. And he's 92 years old.
Yeah.
And without him, and that will shortly come to pass, then technically the company passes to control of his 4 children, some who are not speaking to him, others who are not speaking to others of their siblings, a group that can't possibly agree on the direction of this company.
Yeah.
So in that event, what happens? Probably the company gets sold. It transitions into something else. But the point is, it can't last.
It is succession in real life. And you admit that in the book. You're like, yes, it's real life succession. But, you know, you are perhaps the most prolific biographer of Rupert Murdoch. You point out you've known him for a very long time.
Yeah, no,
he's let you in.
Yes, I mean, I spent a literal year with him.
Yeah.
Him, his executives, his family. I've met his mother.
Yeah. And rode around with her in a golf cart, which is a great story. But then I will ask you, I think you are uniquely in a position to answer this question. What does he want? Because it seems from the outside looking in that what he wants is to destroy democracy, to wreck American democracy specifically, and to use Fox as a vehicle for very specific political desires, Republican outcomes that he wants and win elections.
Yeah.
What does he want?
Okay, that's not what he wants. As a matter of fact, in part of the irony here, a kind of, for Rupert Murdoch, a cruel irony, is that he was never very interested in Fox. You know, Rupert is a newspaper man. That's what he does. That's where his attention is. He funded the creation of Fox in 1996. Actually, sort of as an act of revenge. He tried to buy CNN. They wouldn't sell it to him. So he said, I'll build my own. But he's not a television guy, not interested in television, doesn't watch television. So he hired a man named Roger Ailes. And Roger Ailes created Fox, built Fox, led Fox for most of its for 25 years.
Yeah.
And it was Ailes who created this. And Ailes was thrown out in 2016 because of a range of sexual harassment charges, and suddenly Rupert kind of found himself in charge.
Yeah.
And couldn't control this. And you know, another kind of you know, I mean, irony beyond proportion is that Fox elects Donald Trump president.
Absolutely.
I mean, there is no Trump presidency
without Fox.
Without Fox. But Rupert Murdoch hates Donald Trump, detests him, you know, literally wishes him dead.
Yeah.
And so here he is in the last years of his life, looking face to face with this reality and this legacy. So, not that he doesn't deserve the tragedy, but it is kind of a tragedy.
Yeah. I mean, buying the Wall Street Journal was sort of his peak moment, right? He thought he's a newspaper guy. That's what he really wanted. But in the end, as you said, he created this monster.
Well,
but they can't control it.
He certainly let it go.
Yeah.
And the reason he let it go, and let's not mince our words,
money.
It made an enormous amount of money.
That's it.
Probably more money than any news operation has ever made.
Absolutely.
So between that, if you had to say Trump or the money, Rupert takes the money.
He takes the money. Closing question, Lachlan Murdoch. How do things change with him on board? Because it sounds from what you started off saying, he can't drive this ship the same way that his father did.
No, and in fact, it's not clear that he is any more in charge than he has ever been. Rupert holds the power. He holds the power of the board. He holds the power to appoint the CEO, and he's a meddlesome guy. So I would suspect poor Lachlan is in the same old position he's always been, under his father's thumb.
Michael Wolff, this is a fascinating book. It's not summer, but it's like a summer read because it's like really fascinating. And your books are always like that. Thank you for coming down.
Thanks.
Appreciate you.